This is Mile High.
We have to do it better in order to move people along.
Up, down, inside out.
If you get your mind right,
it is not. It is a receiver of thought.
because love is my first technique.
It's now time for the show.
Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet in Colorado, which is where Mile High will be August 16th to 19th. Rates are rising April 15th, so make sure you decide and commit to rise up before April 15th by registering at www.milehighchiro.org. We look forward to seeing you there August 16th to 19th. As you know, we always bring great quality information on these podcasts every single week. And if you are listening to this, whether it be in iTunes or Stitcher or YouTube or Facebook or wherever way this is downloaded in over 35 countries, we would love to have you also subscribe so you never miss an episode. There are great episodes coming. And today is going to be an incredible real-world episode with my friend and awesome chiropractor, Dr. Kim Berkus. She's a licensed chiropractor in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She specializes and focuses on network spinal care. She's been in practice since 1997. We're friends going on way back. And
way back.
Way back to chiropractic school. And she's speaking at Mile High this year, and we're going to have some real-world conversations about being in practice. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, Danny. It's great to see you, and I am from the flatlands here in Minnesota. So I am the maybe a couple inches high, full of snow and cold right now.
Yes, and sea level. So it's sea level, snow, and cold and flat.
Yes, exactly.
Which is a great reason to visit Colorado.
That's
So actually, before we get into the topic that we're going to be diving into that we discussed we're going to cover, really about real-world practice, because a lot of times we'll have people on things that they're teaching or different areas of focus in practice, but I love getting to provide material about the real people in the trenches that listen to this, that take care of people every day, and what it's like really being in practice. I think that also really serves the students as well for when they get out in practice. So one of the things I want to mention starting out is that a few years back, you grabbed the audio and video of Mile High, CD and DVD, back when it was in that format before it was streaming, and you listened to it in your car all the time. Tell me about that experience. Tell everybody about that experience.
Well, I had backed off from practice a little bit because I was going through a lot of challenges with my daughter. And up and comes this group of students through Northwestern, and they're all going to the BCI in Davenport, Iowa. So hence I went off with them. I saw this Mile High thing. I'm like, what is this? I grabbed it. I started listening to it. And what really struck me was when you said, what can you do for chiropractic? And that really spoke to me. I was doing nothing for chiropractic. I was not really in a great space myself. And I listened to all the speakers talk about a range of topics and a range of experience. And it touched some place in me, that chiropractic place in me, that I'd lost touch with. I'd been going through a lot in my life, and I lost touch with the chiropractor in me. And I actually was about ready to sell my practice. So listening to those Mile High talks really ignited a spark for me. And I thought, you know what, that spark, that chiropractor is still there in me, and got really motivated to then move in that direction. I thought, I don't know what I can do for chiropractic, honestly, but I'm willing to see that I yeah.
I love it. And that's part of why we do Mile High. So it's a home for people, and people really has a vibration of people being able to connect to the heart and soul of chiropractic, and not judgmental, and being focused on subluxation and adjustment and delivering great care and serving people and being of many different chiropractic tribes under one tent. And so I'm really glad that that you after that you ended up attending.
Yeah, I think it was the next year or the year after I did attend, and oh my God, I had so much fun. I say I made all my first like non-NSA friends, in the little network bubble, which I love, but hadn't really explored outside of that very much, and just met so many great people that I am still in contact a lot today, and really grateful for that opportunity to experience chiropractic outside of technique, like the big picture,
Yep.
and understand the passion for chiropractic that's out there. Nobody cared what I practiced or how I practiced. We just met on this really beautiful, like soul to soul level.
Right.
We're here for the same purpose.
Right. And it builds a community. And I think people need to have their tribe and their community within their technique, but also outside their technique or approach. And that's what Mile High does. So now, when let's go into some real world stuff. One of the things that you said to me is that you're known for wanting to talk about those things that no one else wants to talk about.
Exactly.
Which is really wonderful. And it shows a certain amount of vulnerability, and vulnerability has strength. So let's go right into that, which is we're going to talk about navigating chiropractic practice while you're experiencing family crises or changes. Because here's the thing, you always hear the stories and people from stage of when everything is honky-dory and life is good. And that's wonderful. However, life is not always good. Things happen in our lives that are all part of the picture in our growth, but there's ups and downs. And we have to heal and serve through that. And you've had some significant experience with that. I think this will help people.
Yeah, absolutely. My first 10 years of practice was me. And I got married maybe partly into it, but we had no kids. It was just me. I could work as much as I want, do as much as I want. There was nobody to answer to. And then I got pregnant, and I always laugh. I told my practice members, just give me a month or two. I'll be back full time. Obviously, having not been around babies or children very much, really never even wanting to have one, I thought, for most of my life until I got pregnant. Well, it was very different once I had a baby. I remember I had my husband come with her all the time. And then the first day I left her at home, I just cried and cried and cried. And I've never gotten back to practicing the full hours I did before I had her. I actually tried the summer before last, and it didn't work. I wasn't there for my family as much as I wanted to be. So just becoming a parent, and especially if you're a mom in practice, I think brings a lot of questions. And Pierre Bernier was my coach at the time, and he helped me so much and gave me some structures on how to be a mom in practice. So I found that and was going along good, but then we started having some real challenges with our daughter. And I pretty much bet that every single parent out there has gone through those times, right, Danny?
Yep, absolutely.
And it was bad. Like, she was biting me and hitting me, and she was a rage machine. She was fine when she was at school, but she would come home, and she's always been a little bit of a challenging kid, a little bit different, I noticed, from other children. And probably in, the medical world, she would have been labeled like ADD or ADHD or something like that. Always kind of a lot going on. And things got worse and they got bad. And it was such a drain for me. And I really withdrew. I cut back my practice. I stayed at home more. I felt like we needed more stability in the household, and really went into a dark place of not knowing what to do. We did get a parent coach who helped us. And the good news is what was going on with her is that she has an incredibly high IQ. When we finally got her tested, she was off the charts. And so her brain was like on fire all the time with all this energy. So we as a family had to learn how to soothe that and calm that. But it was hard. It was hard. I'd pick her up from school and she'd start hitting me. And I mean, this was tough. So every day my experience of my child is that she is attacking me. And it sucked. It really sucked. So that's when I really withdrew from the network community, from everything, and went into my little hole eventually, which led to a place I don't even know if I want to practice anymore. So that's kind of that story. The beauty of it is we got her in a special school for kids with really high IQs. That first year was a tough one. I'd have to call my CA and say, I know office hours start in 10 minutes, but I'm not going to be there for 40. Like kind of like that, because there was so much angst and transition and like dragging her out of the house and dragging her into school. But I kept going. You know, I had gotten over that place of thinking I needed to close my practice and just kept going. And thankfully I had a great staff person who was able to handle all of that. So the good news is she's in a great place right now. We transitioned her school. After that first year, whew, things opened up for me. It was like, I can take a breath now and need it through this really challenging time.
Well, this is really important because so often, if you go to a chiropractic program, maybe Mile High, a technique program, or just talk to people or look at social media around chiropractic for any length of time, what you'll hear over and over again is about the high volume practices, how much money, how many people are seeing, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And that can make someone maybe feel like, A, not enough, or they're not successful, or why am I doing this, and all of those kinds of self-talk areas.
Absolutely.
And your life and your family and your situation is unique. Everybody's is, and they have their own path and doing their best to serve because they have a heart to serve, because that's why they became a chiropractor, right? And they have a heart to help. And your own dynamics of what will also serve you and your family may look different. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different, and what may be right for you. So, or your situation, your family, and that's a great example of that. You don't hear about that. People don't talk about that. In fact, they hide it. So bringing those kinds of things to surface is like, how do you serve people while you have these things going on and keep yourself in the state that you need to give your best? Now, if that's the case, what are some things that you learned through this experience that would be helpful to others?
Yeah, I mean, I learned so much. And the biggest thing I learned was to stay I wish I had parents. But you know, your parents you get in your little clique thing. And I think for me, and I think hopefully some people can relate to this, I've always felt very uncomfortable and distrusting and like I don't belong in groups.
Mm-hmm.
So if I look back, I would say what I could have done is reach out to people and reached out to my friends and their friends. Stay connected. And that was a really, I think, a difficult thing for me because I am somebody who really gets a lot of energy being from others. So I'm going to give you an example of, you know, something I've done in the past and then something I'm doing now because I have a whole, as we talked about, another family situation going on. So in the past, I withdrew. I didn't talk to anybody. I stopped going to seminars. I cut back my practice. It's like, you know, as Donnie talks about, I kind of shrunk everything down to the energy level I could manage. And then I started living in a way that didn't really serve me. So I could feel myself doing that this week. I have another family member with a crisis going on. And I just felt that same thinking of, oh my God, here we go again. Maybe I need to tell Danny I can't speak at Mile High. I need to, you know, not go to Chiro Sushi. I need to not do all of these things because I have to put my life on hold to handle this situation. And I really went there on Monday thinking, oh my God, am I going to have to shrink my life again to handle this. Looking back, that was a really bad strategy for me. It did not lead to anything but pain and consumption of my life by that crisis. So what I did, people came in, I had a little break, I went down the rabbit hole, my practice members came in, and man, I was on fire. Like half an hour later, I was working with them, I was all lit up, like this is great, and this is what I'm supposed to do. And I am the best version of me and the most energized when I am with people, and when I am with people in my office. So I know that that's where I need to go. Also, I know I need to talk to people. I have a pod group, Master E. Last night, I found out some news yesterday. I let them know this is what's going on with me. They said, we're here for you. It's so big for me to talk to people and trust in community and that people are going to be there. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I actually think it's rare that people like jump in and be like, oh yeah, I'm here and I'm ready to be open and share, not share everything, but to trust that you'll be there for me. Does that make sense, Danny?
Absolutely. Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. And the thing that you're talking about is what so often people do, which is they get a crisis, a challenge, a situation, and they shrink or they downsize. Yep. Right? Which means they bring a lesser version of themselves to the situation, as compared to finding a way to bring the best version of themselves to the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, and I told my husband about that thought process. I said, oh, great, so you can be like angry at everybody so you can't do the things you want to do. Oh, I'm going to cancel this and I'm not going to do this. So then I can be angry and resentful.
Right.
At everybody. And that's, and ultimately that's what I did before. I thought I was doing the right thing. And I did the best that I could. But that was not a good version of myself. I think you said. I am a much better version of myself when I am connected with people. And, Rochelle and I are chatting on the phone. That's where I shine. And you're right. Like, that's the part of me that I want to bring to this current situation of my mom being sick now and dealing with that.
Right. And then there's these things. This is real life. Like, those are real things that happen to all of us in different areas of our life. And they could be team related, they could be family related, they could be financial things that are out of our control, it could be children things. And then how do you navigate those without shrinking, without downsizing, but actually empowering? And that's something you mentioned, which was wanting to help people feel empowered even if they have things going on.
Absolutely. And and I love to listen to Abraham Hicks talks on YouTube. I listen to him every morning. I love that mindset piece. For me. And one of the things was said was it was like something like you can't fix the drought by focusing on the drought.
Right.
If I sit and focus on what's happening, I'll just be transparent. Found out yesterday that my mom, definitive diagnosis of Alzheimer's, fairly advanced, and that we need to move her into assisted living with other mental health complications. This is tough. If I make my whole life about this, I will be miserable.
Right.
I sent Sean Dill, he's my coach, I sent him a text early in the day, I can't talk today, I've got to deal with this. About 3 hours later, I said, I need to talk today. I want to talk today. And we got on the phone and I said, I know that what I need to do is keep my focus on my practice and talk to somebody. And we had a great talk and he helped me with how do you implement this in your life right now from a business perspective and keep your business going rather than letting it shrivel, which is easy to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. There's something that happens is that when you said I could be angry and I could be resentful and I could do that, right? Actually, people get something out of that. When people go to that, they get a certain level of certainty, right? By going to, oh, this is all bad, and they get something out of even by going into a victim state about it. And that's why many people do that in many situations, right? Which is rather than bringing a different state to it.
I felt myself in that place yesterday. I mean, I was a miserable person for much of my life. I was depressed and suicidal as a teenager. Like, I know that place well. And I could feel myself yesterday of like, this sucks, and like that path of going into, I'm a victim. Why is this happening? You know, I just got through this other crisis, yada, yada, yada. And it was just, no. And I just said, no, I don't want to go there. That's a miserable place to live for me and my family.
Right.
And I instead got on the phone and talked.
And there's another thing about that is then it also impacts the people that you could be helping that are also depending on you. Because whether you're a chiropractor or you're someone who works in a bakery baking stuff, or you're someone who's doing luggage at the airport, there's a place of serving, right? We all have service in common, and there's people that are counting on you to serve them. And actually, a lot of our challenges in life, we can serve if we serve our way out of them. Because we're giving and we're in that place of giving, it changes our state as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, I was like, what is happening here? Like, this energy.
Yeah. And so then that goes back to something which you talked about, which is community. Like connecting, there's your family community, and that's important. Like could be your spouse or your parents or other relatives, right? And that's important. As a chiropractor, one of the things that happens is we see the world a little bit differently. And we may see the world differently than our family. And we have a different life experience. And so connecting with your chiropractic community, whether that be your technique or Mile High or maybe a mentoring group like you mentioned, also becomes a great resource that has a different perspective, yes?
Absolutely. I mean, I love the groups that I'm in, the Lifetime Wellness Practice Group, Black Diamond Club, all of those things. They're ways for me to stay connected. And I like having different groups that I'm connected with because different groups meet different needs. And I used to think like one group or like your husband or your spouse like has to meet all needs, and that's not true. And that's what I've loved about being exposed to the community of Mile High is that I've found other groups of people and other people that practice in different ways that feed me.
Yep.
And that nurture me. And it is. It's great.
Right. And then that would happen is so many people, when they come to Mile High, it's like a homecoming. They see the faces they know, they love, their friends. And that experience of it, the organic experience of that, the conversations in the hallways, the people they talk to, the people they have dinner with, is so much of the experience that is beyond what you have of people speaking on stage.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, that's kind of my husband always teases me. He's like, you just like to go hang out with people. I don't think you really go for the content of the seminars a lot. I'm like, yeah, it's true.
Right, there's the community.
Yeah, it is the community. I mean, I certainly get a lot out of the speakers and everything, but what you're saying, it's that time in between of lunches and hanging out with people that I really love.
Right, to make it a great time. And so that's something to really focus on, is that you get so much from that, and knowing that then you have lifelong friends and connections that continue to grow. And for many people, it's even they sometimes get connected with students that become people that work for them, or or new graduates, or etc. So, what are your recommendations for people to stay connected and engaged?
I think first of all, to stay connected to yourself, number one, and to really ask yourself, like, am I living, as Donnie always talks about, am I living true to my nature? So under stress, our response is usually to go to a place opposite of the way we thrive. So I think the first thing is to look at what are you doing and ask yourself, is this the opposite of what makes me really be happy?
Right.
So, like, I thought in order to be a great mom, I had to cook a lot. And I finally realized that I don't really like to cook. And then I realized that my daughter really doesn't care if she has hot meals. She's a grazer. And so and to know that really when you're in your nature, it also serves the people around you, because you're teaching them that it's good to be authentic, and then they can be authentic, and my daughter can be like, I don't really like sitting down for meals a lot, which she doesn't. So connecting with yourself, understanding what really makes you tick, looking at when you're in a crisis, are you going opposite to that? Are you withdrawing? Are you, trying to focus on being a great parent by doing, like, taking up knitting or something that you hate to do? Usually our response to stress, we think we need to start doing these things that we don't really want to do.
Right.
And then reach out to people. I think through the years, I'd get these random messages from you, thinking of you, how are you doing? And I remember one day I just said, I'm not doing so good. And even that small act of being honest with you, you were just like, hey, just want to know I'm thinking about you and I'm here for you. And that was huge, where if I hadn't have been honest with you, I felt like it opened the door. When I just said to you, I'm not doing so good, it opened the door to connect with you. So I felt safe, and I felt like that was a good place for me to do that. It's not appropriate always to do that with everybody, but there are certain people who would say, how you're doing, be real with them. If it's somebody in your chiropractic community, in your technique community, be real. Don't say, yes, everything's great. If it's not, say, I'm struggling.
Yep.
I think that's, assess yourself. When people reach out to you, be real with them about what's going on with you. And 3 is, like, dare to reach out to somebody else. Dare to send a message to that person that maybe you don't even know that well. I know I go through this, and maybe you'll understand. All my friends are chiropractors. I finally had to admit that they're my favorite people. And a lot of the female friendships I've had in my life here in Minnesota, it got to a point where they didn't nurture me or feed me anymore. So I'd have to accept that really the people that I trust and I want to connect with are chiropractors, but then I felt weird, like, calling Rochelle or reaching out to her, like, well, she probably has her own people. Why would she want to talk to me? And the truth is, I think that, she enjoys talking to me. And
also there's shared values. That goes back to there's shared values with those people, which makes all of the difference. So I'm really grateful to connect with you about all this and have you at the podcast. I'm excited for you to be speaking at Mile High.
It's going to be great. I've got really exciting things.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So we look forward to seeing you there August 16th to 19th. And again, if you're listening to this podcast, so hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And Kim, are there any last things you want to say on the podcast episode?
I think the biggest thing is what you just said about shared values. Go there. Go to people who have the same values as you, because they're going to be the people that can support you best during difficult times.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you again. We look forward to seeing you at Mile High. Remember, people, registration rises April 15th, so commit to rise up yourself so you can save at www.milehighchiro.org. And we look forward to seeing you August 16th to 19th there. And you will get to see Kim on stage, as well as nearly 30 other great speakers. It's going to be outstanding. And of course, I think one of the best parts, and we just talked about this, is the conversations that happen in the hallways and in the restaurant and all of that timing, having that heart and soul connection with a chiropractic community that has similar shared values. So look forward to seeing everybody there. Like our page on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Mile High Chiro.